Well, welcome to another segment of Getting to Know Your Elders Quorum. As you can see, everyone, I'm here with Ryan Strong. Welcome to our interview. Ryan, thank you for inviting me over.
Sure, welcome.
So we're about to talk about something that's maybe it's a little touchy. It's a little more touchy than the other subjects we've been covering. I was just talking to Ryan about being a single adult in the ward, and he explained to me a lot of good points that members like ourselves can be aware about. So when I had a priesthood interview with Ryan the last Sunday, he told me about his wishes of having an eternal marriage, and we went over some of the things that single adults go through. So I was hoping Ryan could share with me some of the fine points that he just shared with me just a couple of minutes ago. Could you share it with me, please, Ryan?
Yeah, I can share a couple things. Yeah, so so Brother Kwai, last Sunday, during, our little ministering interview that we had, just asked, hey, so how are things going in your life? And you don't always want to open up when you have those interviews, but at that time I thought, well, Brother Kwai is a nice guy, and I'm going to go ahead and just tell him what's going on. And I said, oh yeah, one of my goals is to, eventually, have an eternal marriage. Of course, we all want that. And later on, he, tried to give me some advice, hey Ryan, is it the way you walk, or, is it, why don't you go over and talk to that girl over there, just for some practice?
Yeah.
And,
let me clean that up right quick though, Ryan.
Oh, okay.
So I thought that was totally unfair on myself. So when I went home and I thought about it, and Ryan was a champ, man. He was all game. He was a trooper. He went over there and he did what I asked him to do. But when I went home and I thought about it, I was like, man, there's so much I don't know about the single adult, because it's been years since I've been single. But he's walked through. He's been a single adult for a little bit, and he's had his own experience. I don't know what his experience is, but I thought it was, for me to assume such a thing, that he wasn't doing this and wasn't doing that, I thought it was totally unfair on my part. So that's what I wanted him to share with us today, on some of the tips he can give us about being aware of what single adults actually go through. Sorry, man, I just had to.
Yeah, no, it's good. I'm glad you said that. And the thing is, I didn't get offended because I know Brother Kwai, and he's just a wonderful person, and we all love the service that he gives to everybody, and I knew that in his heart, he had the right intentions. I'm about 32, and so I turned 18 about 14 years ago. Being single is a hard thing. I came home from my mission, and I was expecting to do what my dad did, which is to get, married, within 5 years or so. That kind of seems to be the norm, but it really isn't. This last general conference, they said that, at least 50% of the membership is single. And, I've had different people, do the same thing Brother Quiet did. They only want to help. They only want to be nice. But for me, I left the YSA ward, and it was a little disappointing because after years and years of watching and looking around at all the girls in the wards, and on social media, and just anywhere I went, after years and years of that, it's kind of disappointing to leave that ward and not reach your goal. And when people do come and offer advice like that, I know that in their heart they mean well, but advice for you, if you want to know how to talk to a single person, is to they don't want to feel like everyone's giving them pity. They don't want to feel like a project. They want to feel, they don't want to be patronized or told, oh hey, should you try going to some more activities, or should you maybe try to get a different haircut, or or oh hey, come meet my granddaughter. The last thing that a man wants is for a bunch of older ladies to surround him and say, oh, there boy, you're gonna get it. He wants to feel like he's he wants to feel like he's a man and that he can, go out and have his independent, and he wants to handle it his own way.
Right.
And so, like, you can try saying different things, but with Brother Kwai, I was like, gosh, he's like a nice guy, but basically I said, hey, I got this handled. I got this handled. And and so he doesn't really need, like, he's got to handle it. It's a very personal thing, and it has to be handled his own way. I made tons and tons of efforts at it. Like when I was in my younger 20s, like I went on tons and tons of dates, and like I read things online, and it was frustrating. When I had a vision for something that I wanted in my life, but the Lord had a different plan. And when those disappointing things happen and something happens different from the way you expect, like the thing to do, honestly, is to go to general conference talks, to go to, LDS.org, churchofjesuschrist.org, and to go there, to go to the gospel. And like, there's so many good pieces of advice for people of all, because everybody has things in their life that happen differently than what they expected. And I'm just so happy for my younger brothers, and I've learned to not be jealous of their situations, but I've just learned so much about love and charity for other people. And
any
go
other
ahead.
advice, Ryan, for ward members, right? So what we're trying to do, and first of all, Ryan, at first he was he wanted to maybe not talk about such a touchy subject, because as you can imagine, this is a sensitive subject for him. But the primary reason, what the straw that broke the camel's back, and why he agreed to talk about this, was that he wanted to help the ward members out understand other single members that are coming in. So if he said to himself, if he could help out the next single guy that's coming into the ward and educate and inform and make ward members aware of how that single adult is feeling, and then that's the only reason why he agreed to do it. So I'm grateful for his bravery and his courage to talk about such a touchy subject, especially because he's going through it. But in his heart, he felt like if he could do something about and help educate ward members of how a single adult it feels, then he said it was worth doing the video. So is there anything else, Ryan, you can tell us about to help members understand and be more aware of your situation, so we don't come up to you like I came up to you? And I apologize to that for you, for how I did that. I totally made an assumption.
Oh yeah, that's totally cool, because like when you're at church, like there are a lot of things going on all at once sometimes, and you're just kind of thinking on your feet, and you just wanted to help and be kind. But yeah, if like, first of all, when you see me up there on the stand, like I want you guys to see me as the ward clerk, no different from Tyson Albertson. He's married, he's got a wife, but I want you to see me the same as you'd see, the other members of the bishopric. And like I want you guys to, to not see me as who I was back when I was in the ward, like when I was in high school, but to see me as, I've had a lot of experiences. I went to Australia and, taught Aboriginal people, like out in the desert.
Yeah.
And, I have a business management degree, worked really hard to get that education. And, I'm a manager over at a distribution center over in Redlands.
Awesome.
And I've worked really hard and have a lot of experience. So I want to, the best thing to do is to just not really talk about it, or to just not even really, because they know that they're single. Like the guy, anybody that will come through our ward in the future, like they're keenly aware, believe me, and they don't need to be reminded to just treat someone who's single as you would treat any other person, and not talk to them any differently. And let their family be the ones to really like give the nudges if they need the nudges, which, for me, I don't need the nudges because I've been at it for like a long time. So,
right.
So I've really learned to accept the Lord's timing, and it's been a blessing, just learning that. I know it'll serve me, later on in life, like down the road, as other disappointments happen.
Yeah.
It'll serve me for years. So I'm grateful for that.
No, that's good, man. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you bet.
So, last thing about that, though, I believe everybody has their own race to race here on Earth. Everybody, through their own experience, you're going to experience something that our Heavenly Father has planned specifically for them. Just because some other guys got married when they was 20 doesn't mean that's the same plan for you.
Right.
Our Heavenly Father definitely has a plan for you. But I believe that through our struggles and through our trials and through our experiences, our Heavenly Father is teaching us a very important lesson. And like you just said, I believe that the lesson you've learned from being single will serve you a great deal. Once you get older, you'll be able to have that experience that you went through and draw back on it from time to time. Who knows? You might be a YSA bishop in the future. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
yeah, and
I'd
be able to do such a great job at that too, because I know not what to say. Like,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I've been blessed to have a lot of bishops that are really actually pretty smart, and they rarely even bring that up because they know that you know, the young single adults are like, you know, keenly aware. And I'm just so proud of like all the other single adults that I see, like especially the sisters that just, you know, go forward and like have these great careers and do awesome things. I'm a big believer in like just, you know, not putting your life on hold.
Good. Thank you, Randy. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure, you bet. Hey, so Brother Quiet reminded me of another story that, you know, is really good for like, you know, anybody that like is a single adult or maybe, you know, maybe has something else. Maybe they're in a wheelchair or, you know, anything that might be seen as a little bit different, you know. So anyway, I was a temple worker for at least a couple of years, a few years ago, and I was in the break room, and being a young guy in the temple, like as a worker, like you kind of stick out because most of the temple workers are really old. But you
Thanks,
know,
Ryan.
hey,
I'm just joking.
No offense. You're one of the younger, older ones.
I'm just joking.
Yeah. But yeah, like when you're like in your 20s and you're a young adult working in the temple, like you kind of stick out because there aren't as many that are that age. And anyway, so kind of the thing on all the older people's minds, maybe what they're not always courageous enough to say is like, well, so like what happened? Like why isn't he married? Like that's kind of what grandparents, you know, think. And you know, a couple temple workers here and there like did, you know, say stuff or try to like match me up. And you know, this one guy said, hey, you know, what about that one worker that like works over by the front door? You know, she's pretty cute. And I told him I already went out with her and it didn't work out. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. And I was like, well, you know now. And you know, and like, you know, there was this other girl that like came home from her mission and she was in there for a couple of months, and you know, and somebody was like, oh, hey, you know, Ryan, you know, go ask her out. And I was like, come on, guys. And like someone else said, oh no, I've already saved her, like, you know, for my grandson. And then the guy's like, oh, never mind, Ryan. And I was like, whatever, you know. And then one time I was in the cafeteria, and this lady, like, you know, was like, hey, so I mean, so like, how long you been home from your mission? And I said, oh, about 6 years. And she's like, oh, I thought you'd just come home from your mission, like, you know, just like, you know, short, like a few months ago or something. Yeah. And she's like, well, I mean, are you dating? Like, you know, like, have you gone to, I mean, are you going to the YSA ward? Are you like, you know, going to activities and things? And like inside, like I could feel, even before she started talking, like I could feel the Spirit saying, she might bring up the subject, so just be ready. And sure enough, she did. And she said, like, aren't you going to the activities? Aren't you doing those kind of things? And I was like, so I felt like I had to like say something, like, you know, a lot of people would, you know, like yell out, you know, and I really kind of had a right to, but I was in the temple, and so it was kind of an awkward moment. So I just stood up and I was like, just because I'm not married doesn't mean that I haven't been trying very, very hard. And that time it was kind of hard, and I like went over into the locker room and like kind of had to have a moment to myself for a while, because I realized that really hurt that time. And but after you get over those feelings, like, you can forgive, because like if you think about it, she's just a grandmother, that cares about young people, and she's probably had other grandchildren that weren't trying as hard, and she doesn't know that I had been on many dates at BYU, and that I had had many friends. We all went to the ring store together and pretended to get rings, and my two friends got married the next year, but I didn't, and that was hard, and I couldn't hang out with them anymore. She doesn't know about those things, and she doesn't know about not knowing what's going to happen next, and having your life plans change. And I know she meant well. I think about the person and where they're coming from, and and I know that their intentions were good, even if they were kind of insensitive by mistake.
Right.
And so it's been like that with and so when Brother Kwai asked me about that and kind of gave me the pep talk, I knew his heart was in the right place, and I love him for wanting to help me in any way he could, and so now I'm just educating him and anybody else that wants to learn. The best thing to do is to just not go there, and just because believe me, no young adult man wants a bunch of grandmothers to hover around and and say, hey, you look awesome, you're beautiful on the inside and the outside, and hey, I have this grandmother or this granddaughter that you could meet, or hey, how about sister so and so, it's like stuff like that. The City Creek Ward is amazing. I've never once heard anybody say anything. They've been really great, but it is good for anybody that's ever wondered. It is good to know what to say and how to be, and the best thing to remember is to just talk to the person like you would anybody else, and to just kind of let their family be the ones to kind of if they need a nudge, then they'll get it, because believe me, they're very aware, they're very aware of it already, and if they need help, then they'll go ask their family or people that are close to them, but they definitely don't need the nudge or the reminder, but I know that their intentions are always good. So
no, that's awesome, Brian.
Yeah, you bet.
I really appreciate your honesty on this one, and I really appreciate your point of view of letting us know of sometimes we can assume a lot.
Yeah.
And sometimes I know, like you said too, you understand that people are assuming, but they have your best interest in mind. But in the same sense, we can be aware. And I think we, as a City Creek Ward, or just members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the better we know of each other's situation, I think the better we're able to treat each other with love and respect. And I appreciate your willingness to share that message with us. So thank you very much for sharing that message with us today.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, Ryan, you was telling me about your joy of working with your hands. Could you show us what you made here?
Yeah, so after I graduated from college, I actually got my first car, and it opened up a whole new world that I didn't even know existed. So this chair right here, this is a chair that I made from scratch. I went online and found the plans.
Yep.
And decided I wanted to make it. So it took me into a lot of areas that I hadn't been in yet, a lot of tools that I never used. It's about 3 years old, but you can see on the top, this curve here, I had to learn how to do that. So I got a pencil and I just traced freehand.
Yeah.
Like that, and then I took a jigsaw. So I went out and bought a jigsaw, and I never used a jigsaw before. And so I took the jigsaw and I just like that.
Yeah.
Just kind of made that curve, so it was really cool. And I mean, it looks like you bought it at the store, huh?
Yeah, it does.
Just because of the tool. Yeah. It's amazing how there are tools out there so that people like you and me can like make stuff like this.
I don't know if they can appreciate the angle. Let me show them the angle in the picture.
It is pretty cool, yeah. So, I mean, look at that.
Yeah, it's deep down inside.
Check it out. Oh, man. Yeah, you just sink right into it, huh?
Yeah, you sink right into it.
Okay, so like while we're on the subject of wood, so I went to Home Depot and bought like, you know, a bunch of these long pieces of wood.
Yeah.
And cut them. And I think I probably used some more Gorilla Glue or maybe some wood glue or something. You know, went and bought some hinges. Like I had to learn how to do all this stuff, you know. You say, I want to make a cookbook stand. You know, you go search on Google for the plans and you say, okay, where do I get this stuff? Okay, I'll go to Home Depot. You start asking the people in the orange aprons and say, oh yeah, we sell those hinges over, you know, in aisle 3 or oh yeah, you're gonna need smaller screws. And like these pocket holes, like that's probably the coolest part.
Yeah.
Because it makes it look very professionally done. Like you get this thing called a Craig jig, and it's like a special like attachment, and you like drill through it like at an angle, and it makes these holes, and there's screws like down deep in the holes.
I've used pocket screws before too. I think they make the joints stronger.
Yeah, it could be, but I just think it looks cool.
It looks cool too, yeah, you're right.
And then like these little notches right here, like I took a saw and just went bzz, 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 like that.
Yeah.
You know?
What is the notches for?
The notches are for this little piece right here.
Oh, nice.
It lands into the notch.
And then the front part, oh yeah.
Yeah, and we've been using this for cooking for like a few years, you know? I've made a few of these things, and this is the one that's been kept in the kitchen.
Oh.
My mom uses it all the time.
Nice.
Yep, so it's the Betty Crocker cookbook. So see how it just sits there?
This is awesome, right?
Yeah, that is cool, huh? Hey, safety first,
That's
right?
That's right.
So back in 7th grade in middle school, I was in a technology class for a couple months at least. And they had a bunch of different projects that you could work on. Some people made rocket ships, others made like, CO2 cars, stuff like that. I was in an electronics lab and learned how to use a soldering iron. This is a soldering iron.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. It was cool to learn how to use a new tool. And it was cool to learn how to use solder. But like when you're in class, like you only have so much freedom and you're young and you kind of have to like do, you kind of have to do the assignment.
Yeah.
And so I was working on some kind of electronics project, but like it didn't really come out very well. And so as I was looking around at awesome hobbies that I can do in my spare time, I remembered like soldering and started searching on the internet and found out there are a lot of really good like websites and companies that sell, do-yourself electronic stuff. So that's a microcontroller board that you can. It's called a Arduino Uno.
Yeah.
I have this book that I bought, Arduino Projects for Dummies, and see, basically, it's a chip. It's a computer chip.
Yeah.
And it controls all these cords. Like it controls all the electricity that goes through those cords. And it's hard to see, but there's like a square and there's like a happy face. So like those lights, like they make a smiley face.
Yeah.
Yeah, so eventually I'm gonna make one of those happy faces because I bought the stuff to do it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I'll make one of those happy faces. But yeah, so like prototype, so there are 2 stages. One, there's the prototyping stage where you kind of invent and put cords around. So that's what this is. And then if you want to make like a more permanent thing, then you start soldering stuff and then it becomes more solid. But just wanted to kind of show you what I just made. So here's the microcontroller board, and it kind of controls everything. And it has these wires that come out, and then it goes through these blue resistors just to like kind of slow the electrical current down. And then after it goes through the resistors, then it goes through all these
LEDs.
Yeah, those LEDs, those colorful lights. And then like the electricity, like once it's done, it has to go through, you know, the ground side, you know, because electricity's got positive and negative. So it goes out the negative side and then goes back in to this thing. You can make these lights do like whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
You can make them go like, you know, you can make them all turn on all at the same time. You can make them turn on and off. So you write like a program. It's like an Arduino program, and then what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to plug this thing in, and then it starts working like that.
Like Christmas lights, man.
Yeah, kinda. Cause like with the 4th of July, like a month ago, like I thought red, white, and blue would be kind of fun.
Yeah.
But you can use whatever colors you want. Like I got a bunch of green ones, yellow ones, and so like I programmed it to, these chords are going like, okay, on like that, on like that.
Oh, the sequence.
It turns them off, yeah, like a sequence. And then this thing is like really cool, mainly just because it like makes it look like a science laboratory.
Yeah.
You know.
What's the villain in Spider-Man that has octopus arms? What's his name?
Alligator clips.
No, see how this is bending like that?
Oh, like Dr. Octopus from Spider-Man?
Yeah. That's
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that guy is cool, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you just clip your board on there like that, you know?
And it holds it steady.
Yeah, and so like what we were doing before with the lights, like you can stick the lights into this thing instead when it's time to like make it permanent.
Yeah.
You know, and then you just flip this. You just flip this over like that. You kind of bend these out like that.
It's all right.
Yeah, and then you plug this thing in, and you get. You get this thing right here. And then you take the iron and you stick it on this metal circle right there.
Yeah.
Get it a little more secure there. Yeah, so you heat it up and then you stick the iron down on that circle and then you stick the wire like right in there.
Right on the lead.
Yeah, and it's really pretty. Like, I mean, go on YouTube like right after this and just watch people do it.
Yeah.
But you melt the metal in there and then it makes like a volcano shape, and you do that on both sides, and then this thing will be stuck to the board. You snip it, and then you can put wires in and like, you know, plug it in or put a battery on.
Can you see that board on your left hand that has already?
Yeah, so these are a bunch of practice. I've been doing this for like, I don't know, maybe 2 months, but you see how like they're all those nice neat metal balls.
Yeah.
You melt the model and you make those little volcano shapes.
That creates the contact.
Yeah, it creates the contact. It's like, you know, it's just the way that you connect things, you know, it conducts electricity and just flows through the circuit. So yeah, I mean, it's awesome. You can, you know, you can get like a GPS and like make a GPS on one of these things. You can make like a temperature, like thermometer thing. You can, my big dream is to make a remote control car. And I bought all the parts like little by little.
That's
like
what you
there's
built
like,
up to?
yeah, there's like a remote control thing. There's
Yeah.
like a battery case, like a little joystick thing. Just all the stuff. It's just fun to buy the pieces, you know, from China and
Yeah.
from, you know, Oregon and, you know, Tennessee, wherever, and just watch it all come in little by little. Because who doesn't like to go on Amazon and buy packages, right? Right.
Thanks for sharing it.
Hey,
man.
you bet.
Is there any last words before we, at the end of this video, you'd like to share with everybody?
I don't know. Just these videos are so cool. Like that, you know, Brother Quiet keeps doing. Like just Saturday morning, like, you know, binge watch a few, you know, and it's just been cool to like, you know, learn more about people. And you know, you see them in the hallway every day, or every Sunday, but it's just cool to, you know, go into their homes and like, you know, just feel like closer to everybody. So yeah, thanks for making the video.
No problem, man. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for your time today, man. I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed our time together.
Sure, you bet. Thanks.
Thank you.